what areas of the contract are negotiable, and to what degree, and what areas of it is non-negotiable?
Well, it's really a question of bargaining power. If you're a first-time author, let's say, and you're dealing with a big publishing company, there may not be a lot of room for negotiation. You know, if you're Stephen King or John Grisham, then you can negotiate.
Okay.
So there's varying scales in between.
Okay.
I mean, obviously the publishing rights, that's non-negotiable. But some of the ancillary rights, films, foreign rights, those may be negotiable.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to give those away. When you get the publishing contract, you may say, no, I want to retain the rights to make it a film, or foreign rights to sell it, to foreign places.
Right.
In some cases, that may be negotiable, and you should negotiate. Don't give it away, because God willing, it becomes a film someday. Somebody wants the rights, and the publisher, no, I've got the rights.
Okay.
You don't get anything, or you get very little. So
and
you've
then
got to watch that.
We don't really want to put all that time and effort and a labor of love into something, and then at the very least let it be snatched away from us.
That's
and
right.
Then get no royalties, get nothing for it.
That's right.
Okay. What are selling rights? Because I think I asked you this last
Selling
time.
rights is the right that you have to sell the book.
Okay.
And you basically give those to the publisher.
Okay, so
The publisher takes those from you in the typical contract, takes all those rights from you in the contract.
okay, and so
And they have the right to market it, to sell it, with really the obligation.
okay,
Market, sell, distribute the book.
okay. Is that why some people sometimes tend to become self-publishing to retain the rights?
No, the reason that's happening, I believe, is because a lot of the big publishers now won't take chances on first-time authors.
Okay.
Because of the economy, whatever. So they won't, in effect, front all the money for you. You've got it, so you have to go to a self-publisher, which means you pay them money. You cover some of those upfront costs.
Okay.
That's the reason that's happening.
Okay.
It's really, almost like an economic issue.
Okay.
So that when we were here last time, a couple of the authors were self-publishing.
And I think that some of them were saying that they self-published because they wanted to retain certain rights, such as being able to have things the way they wanted it, and not having the publisher come in and say, well, no, you need to cut that out.
Right.
No, we don't need, we don't want that type of illustration. So it kind of gives you a right,
More freedom.
That,
More freedom.
that it's my work, and then the selling rights itself is that you can sell it to whomever you choose.
That's right.
If you can market it well enough.
If you can market
and
it
and that's a problem in itself, because now once you self-publish, now how do you market that information? And so it's very, very difficult. I know that one person had told me that they still have loads and loads of books. They're trying to unload.
Right.
Unfortunately, and I guess that's why if you get a publisher to do what you need to get done, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. But I think the reality is, and I was talking to a couple of the book publishers last week, writers, that it's just becoming increasingly difficult to get the big companies to take a chance on a first-time writer. So you have to go out and market it yourself.
Yes, it is. It is. That's true. That's true. And unfortunately, it's too bad. Because there are a lot of good writers, that, like last week we saw that there was some really great writing out there, and things that really need to be, stories that really need to be told. But unfortunately, no one, like you say, wants to take that chance. Next one, we touched on this just a little briefly, just a little while ago, and you were talking about electronic books and e-rights and so forth like that. And now, who owns those rights? And you said,
well, it depends on the contract. That's the
Okay.
point. It depends on what you retain and what you give away. That's where you really have to be careful to read it and see what it is you're basically contracting away. The publishing rights, the right to print, the print rights, that belongs to them. That's non-negotiable. The e-books, audio versions, so on and so forth, films, go through the contract. And whatever you negotiate, you have to make sure that that's reflected properly in the contract. But it's a matter of negotiation again. You may retain them, you may give them away.
okay, now, if I had you as my lawyer, okay, and I said that I wanted to keep my electronic rights, you would go in there and fight for me to maintain that,
Oh,
right?
well, yeah, I'd make a demand to their legal department and say my client would like to keep. Now, again, it's a matter of bargaining power. They may say, I'm sorry, you get to take it or leave it.
And in that case, what would we do?
Well, we'd make that decision. It's hypothetical. We may
It's
take it. We
it's
may
hypothetical, but what would we do?
we may have no choice. In other words, the trade-off to get the book published may be such that you say, I'm willing to give those things up because I got to get this book
Would it be
published.
monetarily? Why would would the reason be that it's a monetary issue, that they're paying enough money for me to say, oh, well, you know what? Go ahead, you can take that.
Depends on the royalties. That's right. You have to look at what royalty you're getting. It may be worth it. The other thing, too, is like you said, they do the work. They go out. They have power to publish, to market it properly. That trade-off, may be worth it to you to say, I'll give up something because they have more, it's more advantageous for me to be with this big publisher as opposed to be out there self-publishing, which is a much, So it's a question of trade-offs and bargaining power. It's like anything else.
Wow. Well, I don't know. Would there be a point where I could say, well, gee, I'm going to go and see if I can find somebody else?
Well, if you can do that, that's great. If you have the power to find another publisher who'll give you a better deal, very often, again, you may
can
not.
we shop around?
Well, you may not have that choice. That's the problem. You may be
Oh,
lucky.
it's a thin market out there,
right.
slim pickings.
And you may say, I'm lucky to have this publisher. I'm not pushing my luck. I'll take what they give me, take it or leave it. That's.
But you know what? I think that what you're saying is really, really what it really comes down to is that people feel like this is it. I better not push my luck. But you know what? I think that's wrong because when you do that, you're giving away your rights. And you know what? They want you more than you want them.
Well, there's nothing wrong in asking in negotiations. That's true in any field of the law I deal with. If you want something, ask for it. You may not get the answer you want, but at least you've asked. It's better than somebody saying, well, it's just a standard contract, sign it.
Right,
and then all of a
right.
sudden you find out you've given everything away.
But
That's what you don't want to do.
Yeah, but you have to be willing to walk away. At some point, you have to say, well, you know what? This isn't for me. If I don't like what you put on the plate, I'm not going to take it. And I think that I'll go someplace else and find, and maybe it might take me 10 years to find someone who will do it the way I want it to do. But I'm going to take that chance because I don't want to give away something that potentially is going to damage me in the future.
Right.
So we have to look at it that way too.
Well, if you have that kind of courage, Petra, I salute you. Not everybody does.
Okay, the next one is, does the publisher or the author own the copyright?
The copyright is owned by the author. And typically what you'll see in the contract is a clause that the publisher promises to go out and get the copyright in the name of the author. That's one of the things they contract to do. There's some people, I guess, that work for publishing companies, kind of in-house and write books, and then when they write whatever they write, then the copyright is owned by the company. But that's not the typical situation. You go out and you write a book, like we've been talking about, the copyright will be in your name. Now, however, in the contract, you assign those rights under the copyright to the publisher.
Okay, okay.
But
Now,
it's still your copyright.
it's still mine, okay, and they can't take that away from me.
No.
However, if it was into a revision, I'm going to another place now, but suppose we want to revise it and I had pictures and it was illustrated by their people. How's that work?
Well, I think that it's really just the printed words that belong to you, not so much those illustrations. And if you look at a lot of these contracts, they say that they control what's on the cover. They have the right to control what's on the cover.
Okay.
Ultimately, they control those things. And it's you'll see it right in the contract.
Okay, okay, okay. And there's nothing that we can do about that?
Typically not.
Okay, okay. Unless we get our own illustrators, and they usually don't want you to get the illustrator.
That's right. Typically give them the manuscript and they're going to look it over. You have to make the edits that they suggest. They have a lot of control.